What are Paul's thoughts on direct seeding apple seeds? Has he grown apple trees from seeds, and did they turn out good?
The problem with growing from seeds is that they're not going to be the same as the original variety because they're cross-pollinated. That's why you're always having new varieties coming up, because people are planting seeds. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. I haven't, but that's the challenge with planting seeds. It won't be exactly the same as what it came from because something cross-pollinated. And so now there's an addition to the original, an alteration.
So if you want variety, then that's why you graft.
Yeah, if you want something, if you have a good variety, you want to keep it. That's how all trees are created. They graft on the rootstock, and that maintains the same variety. That's why they keep propagating is through grafting, because the seedling won't be the same.
Do you know what variation rootstock that you have?
I
like
use all dwarf.
M11 or
it's all dwarf.
Okay.
Because my trees get too big. I had a dwarf cherry. They don't exist, but they say they're dwarf. It was 17 years old. I had to cut it down because it was 40 feet tall, and I couldn't reach the cherries anymore. And the base was this big, you know. I mean, it was made of awesome firewood, but it was only 17 years old. I mean, come on, give me a break.
I've seen Paul put chicken compost on his wood chips. How often does he do it? And is there a way to tell when the garden needs some compost? Also, can you put too much compost on the garden? And what would be the indicators that you've applied too much?
The material that's coming out of the chicken pen has no heat in it, so you couldn't do too much. The problem with doing too much, you'd have a huge raised bed, which would probably dry out. So the compost coming out of the chicken pen is completely composted. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Nothing will heat. You know, and the manure in there is probably 1 part per 10,000 parts organic material, so there's just no issues.
Could you put, say, your wood chips down this year, and then next year, oh wow, I have all of this extra stuff that I can use, and drop a foot deep of composted stuff from like the chicken pen on top of it?
You could. The challenge is you're going to have pretty much of a raised bed that's going to dry out, so it's probably water a lot. Now around trees are already established. Trees, blueberries with roots, you can put as thick as you want because it's just like, you know, roots are in the ground, so they're fine.
If you were to put down, say, 6 inches of just straight compost or a foot of it or something like that, would it be a good idea to drop some more wood chips on top to not dry it out?
If you got a foot, because it's above grade, I don't care what you put on it. It's way up in the air, so air gets around it. It's just going to dry out.
Okay. This is my first year doing Back to Eden Garden. I wasn't able to get seeds from the sources he recommended. Stores sell many kinds of seeds, from regular to non-GMO, organic, heirloom, etc. Are these okay? Are some better than others? Also, I have planted some seeds. Now we are getting more sun and warmer weather. We usually have cool, rainy weather this time of year. Should I keep watering until the seedlings are big enough to pull the wood chips around them?
Yeah, you want to water if the ground's dry. Yeah, that's a given. As far as the seed varieties, you want to you know, ask around. I mean, ideally you want organic, heirloom. That's the ideal. You know, because just heirloom is plants to produce seed after their own kind, so that they're consistent. Everything else has been altered because it's going to produce good seeds. So and then you want to find good sources. Some sources, you know, there's a major difference in germination. I've gotten some stuff that, like, you know, major gaps in my rows because not all the seeds germinate, where other ones they all come up. So there's quite a range of seed quality.
One of my friends was we were at the Home Depot or something looking at seeds, and we didn't see any that said heirloom organic. We saw organic, and we saw some that said heirloom. And he asked me which one out of those, because he wanted to plant that second, couldn't wait, which one of those he should plant. And my thought was, well, heirloom is seeds after its own kind, so if it can produce its own seeds and replant those, then that's probably better. If it wasn't organic at the beginning...
You can have an organic hybrid that won't produce seed after its own kind. And my sense is like, like I don't care where my trees are growing. Once they get to my place, they replant. They're in good soil, so they're totally good. So it doesn't, the origin doesn't matter as long as it's heirloom, because you get better seeds in your place.
That's exactly what I told them. With all of the different companies out there that Monsanto owns, or that do GMO or anything like that, it's kind of hard sometimes when you're at the seed store looking at all these different flavors to say, okay, well, this one's safe and this one's not, or I don't want to support them, so this one would be from a different company or not. If they say heirloom, that's pretty much not from Monsanto, right? They wouldn't produce seeds that...
Yeah, Monsanto, stuff doesn't come from them. They're just controlling. They're basically wanting people to be dependent. And so they're more into hybrid and genetically modified kind of things, because those plants do not produce seed of one kind, so you have to go back and buy. And so it's all about control. So ideally, you don't want to buy stuff from the store. You want to find good sources and get them, through the mail, whatever, just so you have a good source. And then once you have your own plants, plant your own seed. They're great. They're free. They're right there. And it's good, growing in good soil, so they're probably better than what you're going to buy.
But when in doubt, heirloom.
Heirloom always, yeah.
Okay.
What's so scary now is that they changed the rules on organic so big time. Carol was on the flight. She got back from Pennsylvania. She's talking to a scientist who's really into food stuff, and she was telling how that a lot of the stuff organic now, they use chemicals. They were raised organically, but the producer adds chemicals for shelf life or whatever, and it's meaningless, kind of thing. And we experienced something. This I don't buy anything, so my wife does, and so this was what she bought from the co-op in Port Townsend, organic lettuce. So she brought it home, and some of the outer leaves were kind of loose. She broke them off. I gave them to my chickens. My chickens would eat them. And I thought, uh-oh. It was labeled organic, but my chickens aren't stupid. They were eating avocado peels, but they weren't eating the organic lettuce. And I thought, whoa, this is huge. Something changed. Something was done to that lettuce. Maybe we grow organically, but something got changed on the way to the store. And my chicken says, this isn't food. I'm not going to eat this.
Now's the time when all the box stores have the fruit trees and stuff out. How do you plant a fruit tree?
You dig a hole, the depth, whatever the roots were that your tree is, you put the dirt back, and then you put wood chips around it and go wide, because the roots are going to spread, and just keep a good cover, and you're done.
You don't want to add anything to the hole?
Never, ever.
And why is that?
The Washington State University did an interesting test. It was really, really amazing what it showed. They had a soil conditions of heavy clay soil, and they bought 3 apple trees, the same size, same variety. In the first hole, they dug this huge hole and took out all the heavy clay soil and brought in beautiful sandy loam, beautiful topsoil, kind of a tree. The second one, they took the soil and they amended it with peat moss and vermiculite and manure or whatever, and just mixed it all together. Planted that. The third hole, they dug the hole, planted the tree, and put the dirt back and put wood chips covering on top. In 3 years, they went and dug up the trees, and they found that the 2 in the holes they dug didn't grow at all.
Where they added the stuff?
They added the stuff. And what they found was they created a clay pot. Water went through that really fine topsoil, hit that hard pan where they stopped digging, and laid there and couldn't get out, and the roots rotted because they were in standing water in both of those situations. But the playground, that's real soil, that's what it was. The water was fine, which is on top of the tree, that tree thrived. And it was very interesting. You see, when you stop digging, that hard pan is there, and so the water goes to that fine material you all homogenized and made nice, and it can't get out. There's no drain, and it lays there. And so that tree is in a clay pot with no holes, full of water, and the roots rot. It was really significant.
So when you're saying that the third one,
which is planted in the soil, put the soil block back. And my sense is, why lie to the tree? Eventually they're going to go through that material you made and hit the real stuff. So don't lie to them. This is home. This is where we live. I'll make the best of it. I'll put witches on top, try to create all the life cycles, worms and everything to build it up and open it up for you. But let's be real. This is where you live. So don't change it, don't lie to them, because they're going to get through that really quick and hit the real stuff and be angry.
I've done that. I've done that, and I can see where I've done that with rose bushes, where I dug up a hole and then I mixed, different compost and say manure and topsoil or planting soil, and then, but yeah, you're right, because I stopped digging and basically I'm carving,
Out of a clay pot,
yeah, and they didn't do too good.
No.
They're just little
They're
plants.
not growing because you see they're standing in water. When that water goes through that fine stuff quickly, it hits that hard pan and it can't get out. It can't drain through it, and so it just sits there. And so they sit in a bucket of water basically.
So if you were to put some wood chips on top of the dirt under your plant, then that would soak up a lot of the water and give it to the plant when it needs it.
As well as you see, the beauty is the compost. You see, as wood chips lay on the ground, they're composting. And as water goes through it, it creates compost tea, which is nutrient dense. So every time it rains, you water, your plants get nutrients. Where you see when people use chemical fertilizers, as soon as you water, it's all released. Second or third water, it's beyond the roots, it's out of there. So it only lasts for a short time, where which is on top is always releasing nutrients every time water happens. So your plants have constant source of nutrients. It's such an amazing design. Gravity is awesome. It works.
Yeah.
And, people go out and buy compost tea. They pay for it. And they go water their plants with it. Well, the second, third watering is out of there. Or my place gets compost tea 24/7. Anytime it rains or water, they get compost tea for free. It's such a great design.